I love doing these shows because I get to connect with the most amazing people. So today we have Heather Fleming, and I am so excited she is with us. Welcome everyone to Intuitive You. And this is one of my dearest soul friends, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. She is so tuned in to her intuition, and we probably haven't talked, I want to say like 10 years. It's been a ridiculous amount of time.
It was a little bit of a stint.
Mm-hmm. Right? But the reason I say she's one of my deepest soul's friends is those connections run deep, and she is truly living intuition. And she's just an example of love. And she was just telling me how old she is, which is ridiculous because she looks like 10 years younger than she really is. And I know the reason why is because of her connection to her intuition and what she does. So Heather is I call her an intuitive nutritionist because she basically travels the world, and she's traveling cross country right now. And she teaches people how to live and eat intuitively and really build their bodies up so they are like that instrument of spirit, of that life force, of their intuition, and they can truly live their best life. So Heather, without any further ado, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, beautiful Abby. And I love the name of your Intuitive You, because I just like the day before I heard from her again, I bought Nourish You, like Nourish University, the day before. I couldn't wait to tell you that. Yeah. So we're on the same wavelength, of course.
Totally. Yeah. And Heather, I would love for you to share, how you started getting connected to your intuition, because I know we met on that frequency, but I know there was a moment before that you actually felt that, right? Because you've just been living that way for a long time.
Yeah. I would say I was as a child, and I think this will resonate with a lot of people, I was totally an intuitive, playful, like really into my imagination and free. And then whatever happened in that 8 to 12 to 16 range, something shut me down. And I didn't trust my intuition, and I went straight to like anxiety and perfectionist, and I have to control everything. Anybody else recovering perfectionist out there? Yeah. And then I had my intuitive hit back. I grew up in Nebraska, and I had another intuitive me up on my return to Saturn, my 28th birthday. Right before my 28th birthday was, my soul said, no, you need to move. And I moved to California, and there was my intuition just came back. Like I lost her and I found her again when I came back to California. And then I started conscious nutrition after I moved there. And now, like, I was scared of intuition and emotions. I was scared of them for a long time too, like scared of my own emotions. And when I worked as a clinical nutritionist, I'm like, well, I just don't want to talk about people's psychology. And now that's all I love to talk about is our psychology and our operating system and what's going on behind the scenes, especially with food. Because the food conversation and confusion is, rampant right now. But what's going on behind that? And it's not just the food. Is my new is where
agreed. So I know for sure, both myself and many people I've talked to, I just know the world at large. There is, I feel like exactly what you said, like two paths, anxiety and fear, or love and intuition. And so 100%. I would love for you to share, how to stay in alignment with love and intuition in the midst of feeling anxiety and fear. Because if you can overcome that and move into your intuitive center, you're on your soul's path, right? And so it's not to say that you don't ever feel anxiety or fear. I certainly don't know anybody that doesn't. I think it's part of the human experience. Let's just be real, And then how you come to those moments with your intuition, with that center point of love. So I would love for you, if you're open to sharing, how you have done that and how you work with your clients to get them over that hump and then move into the eating part, because everything starts.
Yep. Well, as a young child, I had acne at the age of 9 and was on antibiotics for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're fine. I wasn't fronting at you. I just was looking at the chat to make sure.
I saw it too. So I was just checking to make sure people could hear us. Okay, cool. And so deep underneath there was some deep shame and unworthiness. And it came out into digestive issues, acne, tons of infections. So I was on antibiotics for about 15 years as a young person. And so I just always felt disconnected. And of course I had a love-dislike relationship with food because I love food, but it always hurt my stomach. So at a young age, I was trying to manipulate food to be like, okay, if I eat this now, I feel better. So all my friends are like, well, I like how you ordered that. So my friends in like high school started, and I wasn't nutritionist, I wasn't obsessive then, well, maybe a little obsessive, but was trying to do it from a different place, not from diet restriction or anything. It was from trying to make myself feel better, because I was so always, because I loved food and it hurt me, right? So there's that disdain I had between there. And then when I went to college, I studied business, and I took one nutrition class, and I saw like angel wings behind the teacher. And I went and changed my major that day, and, changed to nutritional science. And I feel my 9-year-old me, I'm totally living my life purpose 100%, like that nourishment. And now, of course, nutrition, I've switched to nourish, because what was I lacking, and my worthiness and shame were not helping me. So there's where, that's what was blocking me from feeling good with food. And plus, I was allergic to Nebraska too. I found that to a certain place. I was allergic to everything: meat, corn, the air, every cat. Like now, I have like very minimal allergies, but I was very allergic to everything.
Totally. So something that stood out to me that you said is lack of something, feeling unworthiness. So how do you close that gap? Because the truth is we're whole. So there's something that was told to us as children or adults, or something that happened where we could create a false belief, whether it's lack or unworthiness or guilt or shame or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I invite everybody listening, and of course I always do this too, because I'm so stinking transparent, is like, where are those places where you feel anything less than love?
Yep.
And can you go into that spot and let your intuition just hold you in pure unconditional love, and feel the truth of that? Feel the truth of the love holding you, and see what the truth is, because there is no lack. There is no unworthiness. There is no unlove, right? In truth of your soul. So it's like going into that time, or whenever that belief was created, and also to forgive yourself for ever misperceiving anything else other than love. It's funny, I asked you the question, I kind of answered it, but I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts are, because I just feel like, we're all connected to the truth, and that is intuition. It is the knowing within us. And so when we get centered in our bodies and start to look at those beliefs and forgive, I don't know why my computer's doing that, the misperception of that. And so I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Heather.
Well, I'll use the food food analogy, food analogy. So everybody's waking up every day with the laundry list of things they shouldn't eat, because they read the book. They read this book. They listened to this podcast. They're on this diet. The day I freed myself around food, and then definitely connected with the worthiness and the shame that was already there, was the day I went, what if I trusted my body more than I trusted anything I read? Anything else? Like my body and I went into a new trajectory of a whole new relationship of acceptance. So it was acceptance first. I never, still to this day, wake up and say I can't eat, wheat, dairy, soy, peanuts, air, whatever. Like I don't wake up anymore with that. And I wake up going, oh, I can't wait. I'm so curious to see what's going to nourish me today. And sometimes it's the simplest things that you're like, I haven't eaten this for a year. All I needed was a peach or a pear, but we've, if you're on keto, those are off the limits, like, or whatever diet you're listening to. And I feel like we've made it so complicated. And I think the desire of all these extreme diets is for us to connect to our intuition. I totally I had an aha moment around it. Instead of me being so resistant to all the extreme diets, my aha moment was, oh, wow, we're actually trying to trust our intuition with this extreme. These extreme philosophies. So that desire is really deep in the collective to go in like, oh, I want to do intermittent fasting. Well, I'm up in Montana right now. I'm on a big, huge road trip, and there's time here with that good. So you can't grow food up here year round, right? So there's times we did have to nest. There's times we naturally had more protein. There's times we had to eat more fruit. And I think that's why all these diet and trying to possess everyone is for them to connect to intuition and come from a place of acceptance. So the day I really healed and forgave myself and not judged and abused myself was the day I was like, I accept my body and I can't wait. And I even remember we might have seen each other. My friends were all like, did you lose 100 pounds yesterday? Or 200, like weight genetically, I lost 1 million. Like I just was a Virgo. So I was trying to be a perfect nutritionist. And I was trying to do the raw food or this. And that day I just went, wait a second. And I remember journaling for a year within my body. And it was so lighthearted because I choose the lighthearted path because it just matches my energy. And so it was so lighthearted. I'm like, okay, babe, what do you need today? And the answers you get, you're like, without judgment, are so freeing and liberating. Yeah. So there's like a new intuitive eating movement out there, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's even deeper. It's a deeper place of acceptance. And it's working with your shame and worth and your rebel and your critic and your obsessive. So I have a food relationship type quiz, and I have people look at that relationship with themselves. Because if we're not relating to all those parts of ourselves, we are rejecting them. And then why wouldn't our stomach hurt all the time? Or blank, fill in the blank.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I wish sometimes your picture's going in and out, sister, but everybody needs to go to Heather's site so you can see her like bold, beautiful essence. Heather, what is your site? So people.
Nutrition.com.
Okay, so you can go to www.consciousnutrition.com because I feel bad that I can't control the video quality.
I see both of us, actually.
Yeah, so just make sure that you check her out online so you can talk with her more and see her beautiful face.
Oh, shoot. I'm so bummed. Oh.
No, you're good. We can still see you. It just kind of goes out. So yeah, just taking a moment to pause. What I love about what you just said is really becoming one with your body. And so, we were talking a little bit before we went live, Heather, is about, your body is like the strongest intuitive guide, right? Like it's telling you what's about to happen, what can happen, like it knows. And so for you to fully trust what your body is telling you, and you can really even feel it in the yeses or the nos or the anxiety going in one direction, but the love and the lightness going in another, right? So really trusting your body. And then, as far as intuitive eating, it's funny because I feel like we talked 10 years ago because I'm one of those people that I'm like,
so too.
Well, my body wants this. Like right now it wants a glass of wine and like now it wants yogurt, like whatever, like take off the judgment because like your body is telling you what it needs in the moment. And so, I still eat really organic, super, super healthy, but I'm just saying I follow the energy of what my body needs. And I've never had a weight problem. Like I feel really good, like it's like, it's really easy. And so it's kind of like when we listen to, our body it's moving us into alignment with our soul, with our intuition, and we naturally feel good. And so we know what to eat. We know where to be in the world, right? Like we know who to be around. Like we're constantly getting this feedback. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to share around that.
It's so much to share. I kept like had this knowing of what you're describing. And then of course my sciencey side wanted to like find like the science behind this. And I found the vagus nerve. Have you studied the vagus nerve at all,
No,
Abby?
I haven't.
Oh my goodness. And my whole body like relaxed and lit up because I'm like, I actually now have science behind this. And so the vagus nerve is the vagabond nerve that gathers information from your body to your brain. And what everybody else is tending to do is go brain to body. So this brain body connection is opposite. Like the highway is this way. And so for our organs, it goes to all of our organs. And that's, again, 80% of its job is to go body, brain. But I see everyone trying to outsmart their body. So there may be like a subtle sensation that you're craving salty one morning. And you're like, oh, that's weird. I usually crave sweet, let's say. And all of a sudden you're craving salty. Well, your kidneys and bladder may just need a little bit of electrolytes to help your body absorb something. But if you go to judge, criticize, shame, feel guilty, then you've missed this one little sensation that your body needed. You could have put a pinch of Himalayan sea salt into your coffee or your tea too, or your smoothie even. But we sit there in such I sat there so much like hard, just my head was so hard and I didn't want to feel it all. So when I learned about the vagus nerve, and then even the Time magazine article, there's a Time magazine article about the science of creativity. And they talk about how our intuition lights up in our body and our brain when we feel this moment of connection. And it's in our back right side, actually. And everyone just described it. Like, I just felt intuitive. Like the answer just came to me. Well, I believe it bubbles up from our body, and our brain and our body like have this moment of, and we all know that. We've like, oh, I thought of Abby and then she called me. Yeah. Or, we've all had little ones like that.
Totally. It makes me think, so I was just talking to a friend yesterday about this. Our gut has 500 million cells in it. So it's constantly receiving. So like what you're saying is exactly what I teach too. It's kind of like the gut up, right? Like your intuition, your intelligence is actually, it's the opposite from your brain down. It's your gut coming up to your heart, coming up to your brain, right? It totally is. And I think that it's such a deep embodiment. And I guess that's why I appreciate you so much. One of the reasons is I feel like, there's a sense of ease when you come into contact with somebody who's grounded in love and their intuition. And I feel like we do that for each other. And even people watching this show, like there's a part of you feeling probably ease of like, oh, yeah, this feels right. I'm okay. This feels truth. My body knows. So really just honoring like, what does make you feel ease? What does make you feel connected? What does make your body relax? And kind of moving into those spaces within you and your environment, and the people that, surround you. Did you want to say something else to that?
Well, then you'll hear your nervous system. When we get into the ease, so it's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And I even would put fright in there. Yeah. Fright. Yeah, I've been watching a friend, and she's been really fright, and that's really stressing out her nervous system. And mine is fawn. I go straight to fawn. I want to, like a baby deer. Like I want to hide in the grass. Yeah. I'm not a runner or a fighter or a freezer, but I'm a fawner for sure. When I found that was an option, I was like, oh, that's me. I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, when I get overwhelmed. So when we can keep our nervous system flowing, right? So today I had to ground because I had some techie things, always the logistics that can throw off our energy. So I was like, I can reground. And I did. I chose, to leave earlier, had a great conversation with a cute man, like life will show up for us when we're in our nervous system versus like just like out and spraying it to everyone too, because that's like just emotional like greed and I don't know, it's just emotional. What's the word I want to say? When we're not in our nervous system, we're overflowing and making everybody else take responsibility instead of us taking responsibility too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So I'm just kind of thinking about like times in my own life if I've ever done that. Like I'm just kind of listening to what you're saying because I'm like, I wonder what that is like. I agree. Like if you're not aware of your energy, like mismanaging it, it can just kind of be projected out and you're like,
there we go. Thank you. Yeah. And we're reactive versus responsive. So that's why I fawn, because I want to, because I'm not as reactive. I'm a more fawner. And so I feel like we all want to respond better. So if I'm reacting so quickly to craving sweet, like, oh no, now I'm a bad person. I'm a bad nutritionist because I craved sweet. I am in reactive phase. So right then that stresses out all your hormones, your cortisol, leptin. I saw someone asked about leptin here. Leptin, glucagon, ghrelin, insulin, all of your hormones. When you're constantly reacting, your hormones are in a disarray. They're in flare up. So that's why inflammation is so prominent. And we're all talking about it in the, the nutrition and wellness field, but it's every moment. So if I go, I'm craving a Big Mac. I'm going to say something crazy right now. Like, I'm craving a McDonald's Big Mac just because I don't even know how I came up with that. But I would not, I have zero judgment with myself now. I haven't eaten a Big Mac for decades, but I have zero judgment because I'm like, oh, Heather, isn't that cute? It's so interesting. What the heck's going on? What else do you need? So I would probably have a bean burger coming soon, like a bean burger. I probably would make some potatoes coming soon. So I probably want the fries. So instead of us judging it, I see only everybody reacts to all their stuff and guilty. Then they feel guilty for even thinking about the Big Mac. I'm traveling, so that's probably why I see all the McDonald's signs. And I actually said this, I go, what if we made McDonald's and other fast food places that sell food that isn't fully food pay a tax. That's what I just said on one of our road trips or one of our drives. Because I was like, wow, they can sell something that's not food, which affects our hormones, by the way, everyone. But so that food can affect our hormones, especially processed food. And then we have our own judgment, guilt, shame, reactivity, anger, resentment over here. Look at that. Which one's worse, actually? I would say this one over here. It's the talking, all the thoughts and the stress, because you just threw your nervous system into a state of distress. Yeah.
I love what you said about like non-judgment, because the intuitive success coaching process, which I think I actually started when you and I first met, and now it's like a school certification, in the same area, which I was so excited about. I'm like, Heather, oh my gosh, it's down the street from the house that you helped us find. It was so cool.
I love it.
It was amazing. But the unconditional love and the non-judgment piece, it brings us into that state of equilibrium where we can observe our thoughts, our patterns, our beliefs, and then, become more resourceful. I love what you said. It's so, you just depicted it so well. It really is. It's like we can react and it's like, or we can respond from that place of non-judgment and unconditional love and then know what to do next.
And when we're reactive, you don't get to the bean burger and the beautiful potatoes. Like you get there because you're reacting, trying to resist what you're like, what's coming into your field, which is more stress. And I would say even the only other word that we didn't say yet would be self-compassion. And I didn't have enough self-compassion because I had like a deep, I would say in the womb, unresolved trauma around shame when I came into this world. And there's my gut. That was my gut. Even though I could feel intuition, but I felt this blockage too. And there's with all my gut distress helped me become a nutritionist. So thank goodness I came into the world with that. Otherwise I wouldn't have maybe got to where I am now too.
I love that that's how you see it, is it's like, how can I use this challenge that I was like even born with as a gift? And that's when your intuition comes in.
Yes.
Ask yourself, ask your intuition, how is this a gift? How can I transform it to actually help myself and others? I too, similar experience, right? Like, how do I change this to be a positive thing? I love that.
People with a little more pain and suffering in their lives are people to learn from too. Like I'm not one of the high, I know many more people with suffering and pain, but man, what is it? The saying is the people with more holes have more light shine through. Yeah. I just always think of that when I start to judge myself or oh, wow, I should have done this better. And I just go, oh, lovely. So right there is the self-compassion piece. And I have I'll say 99.9% have it with food. Because of my exhausting relationship with food for so many decades that it honestly, I had the best aha moment. So it practically healed overnight. So all that pain healed overnight. So everybody's journey is different, but I'm so grateful that I went straight to acceptance and less reactivity. And then my body and I had a whole new way to relate.
Right. I love that. Wow. So I know that like, you just specialize in nutrition and intuitive eating. So I kind of want to just be like, what is it you want to say about that without me prompting all this stuff about intuition? Like, what do you want to share, with the audience about that and all that you do?
Why I keep doing my job, because a part of me just wants to like float away and live in Hawaii in my swimsuit on a farm and just be like, you're all on your own. I love you, but you're on your own. Because it's a heck of a journey and it's so complicated. And the only person that can really help you is you working with your own resistance. So even little things throughout the day, like when I was having this, like I was like not in the best mood with my technology today. And I was like, I just couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, you know what though? Heather, just keep one baby step forward. Always helps you with your resistance. Like what would support you now? So if some of you don't feel supported, which I have a feeling is a few of us, especially us ladies, like when we don't feel supported, I'm like, okay, what can support me now? And it's the cutest things. It might be a little sip of hot chocolate and you're like, oh, I just needed a sip and I made it wrong for 20 years. I've made it wrong and you needed just a a lovely sip.
Lovely
and
sip.
A lovely sip. A lovely sip. Yeah. So I see when my most challenging clients for me to work with are the ones that aren't embracing their resistance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might be one of those people. I do resist anything I don't want to feel.
Oh, no way! Oh, no way! Tell me more. Oh my goodness. I love it.
Well, it's like you don't want to feel something negative, right? So for me, my body will like,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's just my reaction.
Yeah, no, which I get. Believe me, when you walk down the street and someone's vibe is not so good, you turn away. Like I get that's healthy. But when it's our own inner, when I'm like, oh, this is something I'm overreacting with, like what can I do? And I just see us being more connected to ourselves versus outside of ourselves blaming and shaming others too, ourselves and others, which is kind of going on a lot right now in this world.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I think the turnaround is, oh my God, I love this.
Can't wait.
Loving each other. So get this. So like after our little like, so I think I told you dancing yesterday. And so we had this little like circle afterwards. So we're having this great conversation. And one of the people said, you know, instead of like throwing darts, like arrows from your mouth, throw hearts.
Yeah,
so like everything you're saying is from love. Isn't that so beautiful? Like speaking to like shaming, like don't shame yourself, not getting angry, just being like, take those arrows and like turn them to hearts. I just thought it was so beautiful. That's right?
So perfect.
The conscious awareness of like, how can I be love and send love instead of throwing darts? I just think it's awesome.
We had a situation with one of our campgrounds. There was someone walking through that the cops were following him and he was walking through and I could tell the situation was under control. And I just remember looking at him and he felt so familiar. He actually reminded me of a friend's husband. And I was like, oh man, he's in so much pain. I go, I want to give him something to drink because he's getting arrested. Like he's getting arrested. He's getting escorted out of the campground. And a couple other people reacted like, get him out of here, get him out of here. And I'm like, oh, and I had the exact opposite reaction that I wanted to water and support him. But I wasn't quite right to do that either. But just so there's the resistance is that I felt that compassion instead of resistance. Of course, there's times like, and then there was another situation I removed myself because it was not safe either. So, because we're traveling across country. So I was like, oh, I better remove ourselves. So there's this honesty and I don't know, less reactivity because then our fear is just then affecting us and affecting everyone around us too.
I love
and that. Fear of food. I would say a fear of food too, is people became super scared of food. And I don't know how we got there, but I think I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but there's a little conspiracy theory about how dieting confused us so much. Like all the low fat, non-fat. Why did we get so confused and so far from our natural instincts with food? What caused that? I know I could write a whole book on that.
Well, I'm just like, I mean, I was raised like all organic and whole, so I still drink like whole milk and whole yogurt because I'm like, wait, how did you take out some part of this?
Same here. That's on my, totally. So, hey, we have a beautiful question, Abby.
Okay.
I have it.
Christine. So I remember hearing a commercial on the radio long ago. It's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. It's on stopping emotional eating. What a great question. Okay,
that's a beautiful question. I have goosebumps. I come in, Christine, and I went, ooh. So my first 100%, I believe this with my whole being, is I'm a professional emotional eater, Christine. So I don't think we can stop it. It's loving it. It's embracing it. It's befriending it. So who here has not comfort eated? Who here has not eaten when they're to numb out? You know, like again, on my food relationship type quiz, which we'll put the link up there for everybody.
Go ahead, whenever you want.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have all my windows open, but I will. Can I go back and put it up there?
Or you can tell me, we can put it real quick. You want me to type it? What is it?
Oh gosh, it's consciousnutrition.com. It's my quiz. But just put consciousnutrition.com on there and my quiz should pop up. If not, Christine, I'll pop back in here. And so I love that I see that everywhere that we're supposed to stop it, but we are, and I can't wait for Abby to tune in on this too. We are 100% emotional beings. So the second I didn't try stopping it and I befriended it. Oh, I see. We can type it in here. Oh, thanks, Abby. I can do that. Okay. I thought we had to go to another screen. Sorry about that. The second we can befriend it and work with it. So I one of the top, here's all the different emotional eaters that I came up with in my quiz. Rebel. Any rebels here? Abby, we're rebels.
I would probably, I don't know. I'll answer after you're done.
Okay,
because,
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Rebel, comforter, number, guilter. That's why I still do my job, is because I just don't want people to live in that guilt energy anymore. Mm-hmm. Pleaser, detacher. Did I say number already? Obsessiver. So perfectionist. So I'm all of these, by the way. That's what I can say. I can do this job. And then connector. And the connector is our goal. And the connector is the goal of seeing all of these different voices in our head and us going, wow, I am really wanting to eat mac and cheese. I need comfort. And my mom made that for me when I was a kid. So instead of stopping emotional eating, I think we can learn a new, dialogue. Have a new dialogue instead of us. I'll just say again, as a woman in her 40s, so the 70s child, because we went to non-fat, Atkins, like all those diets came out when I was in high school and college, and we tried them all because that's what we were supposed to do, because we weren't enough unless we were this size or whatever it was coming through the waves. And so when we can connect and go, oh wow, I'm really feeling comfort, what else will give me comfort? And 9 out of 10 times, everyone. So if I say mac and cheese, when I feel mac and cheese come in, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm really sad. I'm actually feeling a little lonely. How about I take 5 deep breaths, drink a sip of water, make a cup of tea, call a friend, and then see if I want to make my favorite. I have a vegan mac and cheese, and I'm not a vegan, by the way, but I have a vegan mac and cheese recipe that always makes me feel good. Something about it. So I use rice noodles, sweet potato, carrots, a little bit of lemon and olive oil. And not kidding you, my non-vegan friends love it more than regular. And it's just because if I don't want more congestion, it's not because, oh, I can't ever eat cheese again. It's just, I was like, oh, you know what? This feels better for me. But I will do all those other things first instead of reacting to the mac and cheese, or not reacting and numbing that feeling. Or what's the feeling I'm feeling is a good, what's the feeling I'm feeling? And if I'm lonely, I'm thinking the mac and cheese is going to give me a high, which chemistry-wise, cheese does give us a caseinomorphine high. It gives us a little quick, like morphine, everyone, like a quick burst of energy. It's our serotonin usually.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Christine, if how that feels does it feel scary to befriend your rebel? Because it's usually, your rebel's usually something in your childhood where you didn't get your needs met. I can't think of anyone on the planet practically, there's something there. So when the rebel's like, I want mac and cheese, give it to me now, it's either maybe she or he is feeling not lack of nurturing, it's parenting and guiding, like, what, how about we focus right now, and then we can circle back and see if we want dinner, or let's have friends over. Like when I always crave a brunch and champagne, right, Abby? So if I'm constantly craving it, if I'm craving it, I go, oh, you know what? I'm missing connection. I'm going to have a couple friends over and bake them brunch. So when I'm catching those things, it's usually a disconnect or something I want to feel more of. So, oh, good, Christine. I'm so glad. She said it makes total sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the nutritionist here. I'm the intuitive, but I will tell you the way I do it is I do emotionally eat, and I think it's good. I think that is intuitive. I think you're like, I need this, and now I feel good, and now I'm going to do this. I mean, it's like your body has its wisdom. So I actually believe in emotional eating. And I think, if you start doing it to the point where you're getting sick, well, that's also your emotion saying not to, right? So you can do a little like chip here or there because it feels good. And then if you start going beyond a point that you feel sick, that's your emotion saying, well, I've eaten too much of that. But that's still your emotion saying no, like I feel sick, or your body telling you that, right? Yeah. So it's like if you're listening, your body and your emotions are one as well. And so get what you need, and then you're actually going to find that balance of like, and then now I'm going to come back to the equilibrium, And
I bet I can't wait to hear more about intuitive you, but like what old dialogue when I was obsessive, shame, worthy, guilty around every time I ate anything with food, like anything. And the new dialogue is, oh, wow, I'm craving mac and cheese. Oh, that's so interesting. Like I have just a whole new relationship with my emotions now, instead of going straight to judgment, straight to criticism, straight to over analyzing. Oh no, I must have ate bad yesterday, or oh no, I'm a naughty person. Like, now I have none of that. Like, I'm like, oh cool, something's up. Oh yeah, you did have a really tough conversation last night. I bet that's really affecting you. So there's us connecting with our emotions instead of them running wild, and us not hearing them, because they're trying to tell us something. And food too. So I have a whole like nutrition science presentation on how our taste buds are linked to flavors and our organs. So even besides our intuition, it's physical. It's even physical. And we've made it way more complicated, where we just need to simplify it. Like, oh, I'm craving salad. I bet my liver or digestion system needs a little something different. Is the ice of life, everyone. I love the ice most. There's something about Mediterranean and blue zones. They're just so, and rainbow diet's gorgeous too. I think I know who wrote that. Dr. What's her name? She's really cool. But the blue zones and Mediterranean is more lifestyle and more connection too than just the food. So that's why I don't love the diets that are just the food, but they're deeper too. Mm-hmm. They're deeper relationship with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. Wow. So cool. Well, is there anything else you want to share with the audience? And like we have a few people typing in some questions. If anybody wants to type in a question for Heather, please feel free. Yeah, and really, how you connect with your intuition is listening to that gut feeling, that inner knowing, and feeling like you're going to be compelled towards something and move away from something else. So I don't even know if I should start going into this topic, but like the vaccines, right? Like for the corona thing, like my intuition is like, nope, like my body's very pulled away from it. And so this friend I was talking with yesterday, he's just kind of like, yeah. I think I should do it because people have told him certain things about it. So again, and this is actually what I told him, I said, I think similar to what you just said, Heather, beyond what anybody says, I go so deeply into my own intuition. I quiet my mind. I listen to my heart. I move into my gut. I'm very safe. I know I don't have the coronavirus. I've traveled. I know I'm not spreading it, but I know at the center of my being, no matter what anybody tells me, I'm not getting that vaccine, period. And so I can feel that wisdom, and that is your intuition underneath all the noise of what people are telling you, underneath all the noise of diets or whatever. Your body can feel, I want to move towards that, or I want to move away. And if you can trust that deeper knowing, like, when I first started this, actually even before I started my company and I was a kid, I remember I saw this book and it said meditation, and it had a ripple. It was like a ripple, like a water, like when you put a pebble into water and it ripples.
Yeah.
That is your intuition. If you take a pebble and you put it at the very bottom of a lake, it settles, it's solid, it knows, and then it creates this ripple effect of love. And so I kind of started connecting then deeper, even still, into that knowing, into that knowing, into that knowing, into that truth. And actually, if you want to get above anxiety, you can actually go below it too, which is deeper even still into your knowing, deeper into that place of stillness. And it just connects you in. And so, even as a kid, there was so much chaos going on. But if I went into that center point, I could feel the truth.
Yep.
So I invite you all to move into that place in your body. Even now, it's like pulling all your energy in through your heart into your core, rooting in your tailbone and feeling so solid. And then knowing of who you are, connecting to the universe inside of you, and knowing that wisdom is guiding you, what to eat, to emotionally sometimes, where to move. The other thing about, intuitive eating to me is movement. Like I move a lot. Like I'm talking to clients like on the phone in the middle of the ocean, because it's like my body's like, hey, like I need to move now. I just ate something. Now I need to move, right? Like now I need to get a hug, whatever it is, like your body.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So just listening to that and honoring your soul.
What I'm calling myself during this interesting time with vaccines, and everybody all of a sudden overnight they're science experts. And I actually was a pharmaceutical rep for a long time too, and I have chosen, I'm a no for now, is how I beautifully say it to very reactive people, and I've had a lot of judgment come my way around this subject. And I say, I'm so strong in it. And I call myself a conscious observer around this right now. Or there was people that were conscious with enlist in the military, but they chose not to hold guns or to hurt other people. So they probably became medics or something like that. And there's a movie on it. I think it's called The Hacksaw Ridge. So I'm telling, that's what's resonating with me the most. I go, this is, my whole life has led me to this moment to trust my answer right now. Yep. And I've been called many names. I've actually, have people disown me. Oh yeah, I actually would refer it to, I'm sure some people might think this might be crazy or it might be right on. Witches were burned back in the day for trusting their intuition. And I feel like this is a new little version of it, of us, some people just saying that. And just be careful who you're putting the fire against.
Yeah, I haven't really had any judgment come at me. I'm noticing, and you're also a nutritionist, so this is going to be very much in your field.
It's in my field, yeah. And I've coached probably, I've physically helped people that had side effects from the vaccine right away or whatever, and coach people on how to take it. Like, I'm not anti at all. I've been their biggest supporter on their choice too. So that's what's confusing everyone, because they think I'm anti, and I go, I'm not anti anything. I'm helping people with their choice and supporting them as much as I can.
Yeah. And I think, where is the information coming from, right? So it's like, that's the thing. So that's why you have to really trust yourself.
And I compared it to a witch hunt for a minute there. Sorry, that got way off. But.
We're good, yeah. Oh my God. So, following your intuition. And I think the other key is being of service. So I always come back to, okay, how can I honor my own intuition and be of service to those around me? Because when you're following your intuition, I really believe you are in service to everyone and everything around you. Because it is that highest state of intelligence, right? And soul wisdom. So I think maybe just listening to, okay, where is my intuition guiding me to go next? And what is it guiding me to eat next? Is it guiding me to see or to call? And you'll get a full body no or a full body yes. You'll know.
Yep. Yeah. And I have my clients put their hands on their heart and their stomach and just say their name and feel where that resonates more. It could be both heart and stomach, or one or the other more. And again, that's the central of your vagus nerve, or for chakras, that's your heart and your solar plexus, anything, any modality that you're studying, like this area has a lot of wisdom. So heart math talks about heart intelligent. So I have them say their name first so they can feel that resonance. And then I'm like, okay, now see if you want, let's just do eggs for breakfast. So some diets recommend eggs every day for breakfast. And I'm like, how about let your body give you some discernment without judgment? So they'll be like, I'll have them just put their hand on their heart and tummy, and within 2 seconds they'll be like, you know what, only about 2 days a week eggs feel right. And they'll look at them, they'll react, because they're like, how can I trust that? I go, why wouldn't you trust that? So they've been trained to mentally not trust it. And I'm like, you got that so effortless and clear. Why wouldn't you trust that? So
I love that. That gives me chills. Like, that's like the most poignant thing you've said to me all day. It's like, good. Why wouldn't you trust it? Why wouldn't you trust your intuition? Hello, it's your guidance.
And it does stress people out around you, FYI. So if you're a pleaser, or if it's hard for you to, have discomfort, your intuition and that knowing does stress people out. That was my 2 cents on my choices, is what I've been receiving. So it does trigger people. So whatever, it makes you stronger. And I don't even love to use the word stronger. It makes me more resilient. Yeah.
We were talking about that yesterday in the circle. Like, if you know something, and like you say it, like what happens, and like if people just flock away because you're like, it's like I'm taught if they run away, and I was like, well, I guess you just gotta kind of deal with it. It's just, I don't know. It's just funny that you said that, because you kind of have to be okay with the response, and so good with you that you know the truth, and that you also trust that you're going to align with the people of your vibration too, right? So it's like you and I are talking now, right? So like if your light kind of scares people in one sense, because they're maybe not ready to look at something. Okay, now where are you going to realign with some more people who are actually going to make your light shine bright?
Right.
And to go there and how you make their light shine brighter, right? Because we still are one, right? It's kind of like, where do you need to now migrate towards to have that, unity felt?
Mm.
Yeah. Cool. And, also realize you're a blessing wherever you go. So like, I'm just thinking about you, Heather, like you're on this road trip and like your light is literally shining wherever you go, like I had this student that flew actually to Ecuador, and I remember telling her like, your light is literally, it's blessing like the United States that flies over it. Like it's so beautiful because I could see it energetically. I was like, oh my goodness, like what a gift. So if you knew what a gift you were and are, and your light is so bright that as you shine wherever you're meant to be, it is raising the frequency around you. And it is helping people, it's helping the planet. So as you listen to and follow your intuition, you are that bright light. And you are changing the world with your love.
And as kids, some people are trained probably, hey, don't shine so bright. Like I remember my family members saying those exact words to me. So we got trained at a young age to be like, oh, don't put so much attention on yourself, or whatever, however form it came to you. But now it's your responsibility to take that power back, because we all need you. We all need you to be intuitive, because we all win when you're intuitive.
Yeah.
Love overrides fear, right? Love always overrides
wins,
fear.
Baby. Love wins. Yeah.
And love is even the resonance that you'll feel with food. Like I don't have dislike from food. Like even the McDonald's thing, I'm surprised I even said that whole thing about McDonald's, but it was just kind of an aha moment. I was like, oh, wow, what if they just paid a little tax? And it wasn't from a angry, mean nutritionist thing. It was just like, what if they paid a little tax when they serve food that isn't fully food? And I just went, that would be so simple. That'd be so simple. Yeah. And again, it's to bring more higher vibe into all of our lives is what that is.
Yeah, the supportive energy too, just to really call that in. Yeah. That you're supported.
Yeah.
Supported in the light of who you are. Your people will come. I mean, it's great being back in San Diego. Was I telling you, like people that I've known like 10 years ago just popping up almost every day. You're just like, wow, this is so cool to have such great connections with people that it's almost like you saw them yesterday, even though it was 10 years ago.
Totally.
They remember me for who I am, So just staying in that love, like, you're leaving an imprint of love wherever you go.
Yeah. 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 Christine just said, what fast food places were encouraged to offer healthy choices too? Yeah. I think they always say it's from consumer demands, but it's almost like their responsibility too. I don't know. I see a whole new trajectory in our future in 10 years, like remember The Biggest Loser, everybody? Remember that show on TV where they would try to lose weight really fast? Well, it's off the air because it was so detrimental to people's health. It's like not on the air anymore. So I even foresee fast food. Something will be like, oh gosh, remember when we used to only have fast food? I just see I agree with you, Christine. And I just think like a tax when they don't serve things that are food.
There's seriously a place around the corner that I think it's like vegan fast food. Not even kidding.
Yes, totally.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're getting it. Like, it's so cool.
We're still in San Diego. I'm in Montana right now, so that's probably why I'm bringing it up. There's like, we didn't find food for a while, but we sought it out because we have a good vibe to feel it too. But I just feel that, I just was people that aren't at their res yet, and they're like, oh, this is all I can do. This is all I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really invite everybody to check out Heather's site. So going to consciousnutrition.com, she has her quiz. You can connect with her personally. She might not be taking clients this month, but I think she is next month. So I just recommend that you reach out to her. And for any of you that want to develop your intuition, of course, you can contact me through lifeforceconnection.com. We're just here to support you, being more of who you are and feeling really good in the world so you can just fully live your soul purpose full out.
Yeah, but we just got a question come in for Christine. Do we have enough time to ask it or answer?
Yeah. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. Christine asks, what do you think about intermittent fasting? People seem to be pushing that trend. Is it all good for health? Is it at all good for health? I was mentioning, I don't know if you were here before, Christine, I was mentioning the extreme diets out there. And I think these are all trying to help us to connect to our intuition. So for example, if we were hunters and gatherers, there was times we didn't have food, everyone. So we did have to intermittent fast. I think the scheduled 7 days a week of intermittent fasting isn't ideal because, again, it's more head than body. But if pay attention, actually, Christine, you put your hand on your heart and your tummy and ask your body, how many days a month does your body want to intermittent fast? And it'll be the coolest number. And I'm a huge fan of organic intermittent fasting. Like all of a sudden, like, something didn't quite settle with me yesterday. I'm not that hungry today, but I have really good mental clarity. I think I'm going to eat lighter today, or I think I'm going to keep this a lighter day. I personally am about 2 to 4 days a month of light intermittent fasting. And that is very organic for me. And it helps with mental clarity and helps me reconnect to my body. So my intuitive answer is 2 to 4 days. And some months I'm more emotional, so it's 2. Some months I'm less emotional, so it's 4. And I just, like I said, I feel reconnected. And there is research that does show it helps our body kind of catch back up. But if you have any diet restriction or addiction issues, it could actually cause you more stress. So if you have lack issues, like if you grew up with poverty, and then you try to do this, I'm not going to have enough food, and then your body is smarter and what you do eat will store as fat because it'll be like, she's starving me again, because we have that mechanism in our body to do that. So I think organically is wonderful and not this prescribed way that I'm seeing it come out in the world again, because we're always trying to do dream, and our obsessed energy in us wants to do it perfect. We want to get it right. Like I saw myself say that a couple days last week. I'm like, I got to just get this right. And I went, Heather, what's right? What's wrong? So I hope that helped, Christine.
Yeah. That's so good. I love that answer. I think it is so natural. Remember the Master Cleanse that came out even before I met you, actually. I think it was like when I was 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I was like losing all this weight like that. And it almost became addictive. But it really threw me off. But what I learned is I couldn't sense it because I started, it was weird. Like I said, I got addicted to it, and then it wasn't a good idea because I was losing too much weight. But when you naturally fast, it is against your intuition. It's your body saying, hey, I just need a break. And I find that now, right? Like, okay, I just 100%. Need to not eat a little. And then I really am hungry, right? So as you just listen to the natural rhythm of your body, fasting can become a part of it. But if you kind of like override your body and just say, hey, my brain says to do this because there's this fast thing, your body's naturally going to try to put you back into balance anyways. So I do believe in like body leading.
Always. And like we said, love wins, hormones win, everybody. And there's like 30,000, so many hormones, like more than we even know about, that kick in when they're like, oh no, she's starving us. What are we going to do? But they're like, oh, she's not starving us. We trust her because she's doing this organically. We're going to go ahead and clean up the liver a little bit more. So again, it's just a wonderful new relationship with all your beautiful organs that do more for you than your mind can ever control. Your mind will not be able to control it. Oh, good, Christine. She said, thank you. Yes, that makes sense. So good.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Lots of LOL, menopause makes it even harder. Yeah. I'm way early. I'm in peri-menopause. Not even yet. I'm not even, but I highly recommend, just my menopause peeps out there, go do a baseline of your hormones before, or depending on where you're at, Christine, just go in through a baseline of hormones with your doctor. And that's, especially if an open-minded doctor. My favorites are integrative. So I went and saw a doctor before I went on this road trip, and she handed my labs and let me which lab I wanted to do. So I have a very good relationship with my doctor, because I'm like, hey, I just want to do this for a baseline. And she looked at me, she goes, that's the smartest thing anyone's ever said. Like, if we just, again, proactive. I'm a big fan of being proactive with my health. So just an idea for you, Christine. That could be a whole other hour.
That's awesome. Just talk to Heather. We just have a couple of minutes left. Heather, is there anything else that you would like to leave the audience with before we log off today?
Thank you. If you're up in your head and you're feeling the tennis match around, I should or shouldn't eat this, should or shouldn't, go ahead and take a deep breath, put your hand on your heart and tummy, and just say, hey, body, how can I support you? What do you need for support? So if you're in your head, you're not in your body. And there's 8 million books on the brain-body connection, and everybody's talking about it, but no one's practicing it in the moment. You can't go meditate that moment. You can. Most people can, but most of us can't. What if you're driving right then too, So take a minute to just go into your body and go, hey, body, what do you need most for support right now? And I'm not kidding. It'll be so many simple little things that you're like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. So we don't have to climb Mount Everest every day. Because if we're climbing Mount Everest every day, that's stressing us out too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh. I love that. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for just making time out of your busy schedule and your travel time to be with us today. It's just such a gift.
Thank you. I'm not busy. It's just that technology thing. I thought I nailed it and have it organized. Logistics. It's just those logistic things.
Yeah. So sometimes, you're so welcome, Christine. So yeah, I feel like sometimes that part we don't control, right? We can only get in the best spot to receive, right? And just be like, okay, technology and universe, I
just meditated a couple times this morning and ate my breakfast really slow, and it all worked out. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week. It's going to be on the Universal Language of Love with Desiree from Europe. So she's an amazing student and friend, and adore her. So we look forward to seeing you then, and make sure to check Heather out. She's amazing, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome, honey.